Thank you for joining us here on Third Eye Africa TV. This is the newspaper review segment where we take a look at what's making the headlines of our national dailies. I am Juliet Omra. Good to have you join us today. And with me, I have Mr. Charles Agedu. He's part of our newspaper review segment. So good to always have you join me on this segment.
Thank you, Juliet. It's good to be here again today.
Okay, let's take our lead newspaper this morning, which is the leadership newspaper. We are running with that this morning. Groups kicks as Islamic Council says no Christian genocide in Nigeria. And the writer of that story says Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs blames insecurity on poverty, climate change, and crime. And then Anglican primate rather tells Tinubu that Nigeria should seek foreign help to stop Christian killings. On this story, there have been two sides to the stories. A party saying yes, there is confirming, a party saying no, and some parties either confirming nor declining, or declining the fact that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria. Let's go further with another headline on that same newspaper this morning. Federal government targets $450 million revenue, 350,000 jobs from National Poultry Project. That story is on page 28 of Leadership newspaper. Two stories before we talk about the headlines so far. Group raises the alarms over fresh attacks in southern Kaduna. Teenage kills cousin for ritual in Edo State. Those are the headlines which I, saw as top headlines for me on the Leadership newspaper. Let's talk about this revenue. Nigeria making about 450 million from poultry project. This is an estimate so far. Looking at all this, I think rather than estimating and rather than thinking, why don't we wait for the project to be completed and know what the poultry project would bring into the country and how it can be reinvested into that segment. And looking at poultry project, no one would have thought that a lot of money like this can be made from poultry project. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, of course, a lot of money can be made from poultry projects, and projection is not a bad thing for a business. It's a part of feasibility studies. If you want to go into any business, you should do what we call forecasting, feasibility study, projections of revenue projection, so that you can control your input in terms of expenditure. So it's good for the projection to be there, how much Nigeria stands to make if they, diversify and look into, that sector. Because if you look at poultry products in Nigeria today, a lot of people cannot afford chicken. A lot of people cannot even afford egg. Egg moved from about 50 naira for per an egg to over 200 naira now. It depends on where you are buying from. So looking at that and considering the fact that we are also moving into the winter period where chicken prices of chicken skyrockets and people are not able to even afford just a live chicken for the festive period. Like last year, as far as I know, the cost of one live chicken was going for as much as 25,000 naira to buy. So if you look at that, if the government can look into that sector and see how they can also bridge the gap, probably work on the ease of ease it a bit for Nigerians to be able to afford these poultry products, and also the egg is also there as well. Then see how they can also maximize the opportunity that comes from generating more revenue from poultry. They shouldn't just be going in because of the projection of how much they stand to make. They should also be thinking of how they can use this to ease the burden of Nigeria in terms of affording the cost of protein.
Indeed, like you pointed out, that it's not about how much they stand to gain, but actually making life easy for
the people.
A lot of revenue have been, projected, But really, are the people benefiting from this project? The project, is it for the government or is for the people? Who stands to gain at the
Yes,
end of the day?
it is also good for government to also find a way to encourage the teeming youths that we have that are not employed. You know, it's also a way to also kind of find a way to encourage them to diversify, to treat their attention or their interest to. For me, if I have a facility from the federal government that is at ease for repayment and channel into poultry for eggs and chicken production, is a very good thing, because a lot of people, like I said, cannot even afford egg today. A lot of people cannot afford chicken. So, and the poultries are going into extinction. People are no longer able to even manage the cost of feed for these birds. So, if the government wants to diversify and go into poultry, they should also consider the aspect of encouraging young Nigerians to get soft loans to also go into that. Not just because I don't think it's something government can do in isolation, or they want to do it alone, because the Federal Ministry of is it agriculture they call it now?
Livestock.
Yes, livestock. I have not seen them. Like I said in the housing sector, I said since the era of IBB that he built federal housing and the Gwarimpa estate, we have not seen any successive government coming to build houses for rent for massive Nigerians to be able to afford the cost of rent. And if you look at the housing sector today, people can no longer afford rent in the city centers. People cannot even afford rent in the suburb. So the same thing, it cuts across all sectors. If people can no longer just afford to buy a chicken because those days people used to buy chicken every Sunday. You say you want to eat chicken, just go and buy chicken. But now you wait for 12 calendar months, and even at the end of that 12 calendar month, you still cannot afford a chicken, something that can be locally produced in Nigeria.
Indeed. Okay, let's take another story on the rising alarm of fresh attack in southern Kaduna. That alone is coming after the whole wave of after a long while of peace we've seen so far in southern Kaduna, and then the peace deal and all that so far has happened in Kaduna. What does this make? Is it as a reprisal attack from the US threat, or what would you think of this whole rising?
Yeah, I wouldn't see it as a reprisal, because I think it's a call to action, by the government of the day. Because if at this time of our national lives that we are having this tag here and there, being a country of particular concern, at the same time accusing the country of encouraging religious intolerance and all of that, this is the time for government to put itself on its toes, because this is the period we need peace more now. This is the time we need to prove to the international community that Nigeria is a safe place to be. Nigeria is terrorism. We are winning the war against terrorism. We are winning the war against banditry. But sadly, it's happening coinciding and corroborating what the international community is already saying about terrorism in Nigeria. So it's sad, and I think it's a challenge for the government of the day to wake up, to be on its toes, to the service chiefs, the military, the police, the civil defense, the DSS. This is another blow on them. So, like I said, it is an ongoing fight against banditry and terrorism. But the timing, for the fact that this is the time we are trying to clear our name from the international community, that look, this is not as bad as it's been portrayed. It's not just debunking it just by press release and all of that, but action, they say, speaks louder than words.
Exactly. And looking at that southern Kaduna, it's majority are people that reside there. Majority are Christians, and this is not giving Nigeria that accountability. We do not now have that fact. This is like I said, it's corroborating exactly what the accusation that we are trying to debunk. this is giving the whole statement is true. But I hope the government is going to react speedily to this whole rising crime
Absolutely.
and rising fresh attacks in southern Kaduna and also other communities in the country. Before I say in the federal capital territory, pardon me on that. Okay, let's move further to the Guardian newspaper, where we see Soludo triumph in Anambra as ADC observers decry vote buying. On this particular story, I think when they get to political sabotaging and statement, the opposition parties always decry when it's not in their favor. They say it's not thief, it's not robbery, it's not corruption if I'm part of it. That's it. That is a popular saying. It's not corruption if I'm part of it. If I'm part of it, then it's not corruption. But I feel this is just my opinion. If the ADC and other observers are decrying vote buying, what are their proofs? What are their facts? Are you coming out with facts? Are you also part of the allegations you're making? If you participated and unfortunate for you, you did not still win the election, is that why you're coming out to decry that there was vote buying? However, I don't really know what the fact behind their statement is, but that's what I think about this particular story of ADC and observers decrying over vote buying in the current just concluded Anambra State governorship elections.
Yeah, I think the headline speaks for itself there. It didn't just say ADC and observers. And the fillers from Anambra have shown that there were evidence of vote buying. They were caught on cameras, pictures, videos. And I think when it comes to election tribunal, those would be like evidence. But how well have cases done in the tribunal? That's a question for another day. I think I'll take some of these headlines from here that will also corroborate some of those headlines that you've read out there, especially when it has to do with Anambra in some of the papers I have with me today. But I have Daily Independence is a paper in front of me today, and the boldest headline from Daily Independence says, "Sky high fare in Nigeria blamed on expanding web of FG levies." And the next story I have just below the picture on that same Daily Independence, it's still talking about NCIA, talking about National Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, urges Christians to reject external efforts to destabilize Nigeria. That is the second story from Daily Independence today. And there's another story that talked about UK warns its citizens against traveling to Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, and others. 16 Nigeria states, UK sending warning to their citizens to stay away from 16 out of 36. That is balance of how many? So that calls for worry and concern, and the story states were listed here, of course, and others. Following that is another story that talked about Anambra Guba poll, best ever by INEC, says re-elected Soludo. Like you said, if opposition cries, the winner will applaud. Let's continue. I still have another story that talks about Anambra Guba. SERAP gives INEC 7 days to report vote buying sponsors to EFCC, ICPC, and the police. And I think that answers your question in terms of the headline that you just read out now, talking about whether it is just the opposition party that is crying or observers are also part of it. No work, no pay rule can't deter workers from strike. This is coming from NASU, that is Non-Academic Staff Union. And ADC accuses INEC security agencies of complicity in Anambra vote buying scandal. So, man, this is Daily Independence this morning. And I don't know, which should we start from? Or we should just leave the viewers.
Let's still talk about the whole Anambra governorship election.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been saying this governorship election, Anambra, will really determine how the next election, that's the presidential election,
Will
which is
go.
coming up very soon, would go.
Yeah.
And a lot of expectations were, a lot of eyes, a lot of observers were really into this whole Anambra elections, and coming, looking at Sarah making a comment, looking at other observers, putting forth statement and comment and show, and making claims that within 7 days, if you don't do this, if you don't take actions and all that, things would happen, like taking
Yeah, no, really. But Serap is one. Serap is one NGO that I always kind of show some level of concern about their comments, because if they really can really follow up some of these comments they make most times, they're always quick to say, we give you deadline to do this, we'll go to court and do this. I have not seen Serap following any case to a logical conclusion. I'm sorry to say, because I was with Mr. Udo Etefia in one of these review segments, and I asked him, you are my senior editor, what do you think about Serap? Serap is always, they are like the toothless bulldog that can bark, that cannot bite. I'm sorry to use that to describe them, but that is what this seems to be like. But we need them. We need people to keep talking, even if you can't follow it to the end, but just speak up, because the society will die, people will suffer, and when good men fail to speak up, the evil will thrive. So I commend Serap for always coming to speak truth to power, even if they cannot prosecute or they cannot follow up these cases to the end. But giving INEC 7 days to report, that's what they said. They gave INEC 7 days to report vote buying sponsors, because there are sponsors of this vote buying. There is evidence of vote buying. That's the point I was trying to make earlier when you read the other headlines that says ADC and observers. And Serap was an observer of that election. I've not heard Yaga Africa come out to say anything yet, but I think they were also an observer in that election. So there are evidence of vote buying in that election. And the highest bidder will take the day. And the governor has access to the state resources. According to the reports, the feelers I got during the election over the weekend, was that at the front line of this vote buying was the ruling party in the state, which is ABGA, which was Soludo's party that just got re-elected, followed by the ruling party at the national level, which is APC. So, and if you want to check out resources, it is between APC and ABGA, because Labour Party was just relegated. Moghalu is still crying foul because he had no money to buy votes. Obi said something about what vote buying is doing to our electoral process, because Obi's slogan is Mr. Tight Hand. Obi will not pay you to vote for him. He believes in integrity. He's like a Mr. Integrity in our political space. And Nigerians are hungry. A lot of hungry people who are willing to sell their kidney for money, who are willing to go to do ritual or Yahoo for money. What is in vote in terms of selling? So it becomes something very easy for a lot of people to do, because of the vulnerability of the people will make them do anything for even 1,000 naira. So now Serap is giving the INEC, because INEC is the referee in that election. And this is time for Amupiton to prove his integrity. He said it in the news that Anambra election was a test for him. So now it is not about quickly uploading those votes on IREV. That was one success that was recorded by INEC. I must commend them. But the process that led to the result that was uploaded is what is being faulted. How were those votes gotten? It is not how fast 99% of the votes were available in the IREV. Do you understand? So now, if the results are made available in the IREV, no contention, you did your job well. But in terms of the process, vote buying, people caught on camera sharing money, people caught in politicians' house collecting spaghetti and all kinds of inducement. Now SERAP is saying they are giving INEC to report vote buying sponsors to the EFCC, the ICPC, and the police. And in the next 7 days, you and I will come back here to see how many of these alleged sponsors of vote buying have been reported to the ICPC, the EFCC, and the police. And we really hope INEC is able to report at least 1 or 2 persons, because the question whether there was vote buying it answers itself, because there are evidence to show.
When it comes to vote buying, I think it's not just the INEC that should be held responsible. I think there should be this electoral awareness.
Yes, the INEC is not being held responsible in this statement that was made by SERAP. The SERAP is mandating INEC to report the sponsors of vote buying. The sponsors of vote buying, of course, are the politicians.
Exactly.
And if you check the other headlines that says ADC specifically accused INEC, security agencies, of complicity. So because INEC is supposed to be the referee in the election, anywhere you see people inducing voters, you are supposed to do something about that polling unit. The security agencies is supposed to be your next right-hand man that you use as INEC, because the security agencies, they are responsible to the electoral umpire in the election. So if INEC points at irregularity, the security agencies will swing to action. So what ADC is alleging is that INEC and security agency are complicit in this game, because you can see and look the other way. We've seen elections in Nigeria.
Another people that should be added to that list are the voters themselves, because when you're aware of
the voters are vulnerable. No, the voters are vulnerable. You were going to talk about the National Orientation Agencies. The National Orientation Agency is supposed to be highlighting voters on the dangers of selling their vote. Is that not correct? Is that not the point you were trying to make?
People should be aware
of the danger of selling their vote.
Their vote is.
Yes, if you are aware of how powerful your vote is, and you are not even empowered to know how powerful you are. For example, a hungry man is an angry man. An angry man is a madman. And if you show me a hungry man, you show me a desperate man. So when somebody is hungry, you tell the person they are sharing sugar cane at the junction. The first thing that is working on that person's brain is how to quench his tastes. It is not how to protect his integrity. And I gave you an example of how people are going as far in FCT here, going to private hospitals to have their kidney removed to earn a peanut. The total money, that case is still under investigation in one of the hospitals that was fingered around the FCT here, where people go to operate and remove their kidney to save others who have kidney problems. One of the testifiers that his kidney was removed said that on camera that he was promised 1.2 million. And at the end of the day, I think he was given 500,000, because the agent had to split the money, give the other person, because there was a third party involved. And at the end of the day, the person that his kidney was removed, he showed the court on camera, didn't even get up to 50% of the money. So that shows the level of desperation. That is just on one hand. On the other hand, a lot of people are plucking their siblings' eyes in the name of ritual killing.
Like this story we have where teenager kills cousin
for ritual. So this is the situation. So if the level of the country, the level of poverty has degenerated to the point that life has no sanctity, people have no value for their own lives, for the lives of their fellow man, and people are looking forward on how to prey on people. There is job racketeering. People are scamming people in all forms. I saw a banner at the Eagle Square, just in front of Federal Secretariat, where it is published boldly that you pay 100,000 naira to get registered for a federal job. Non-refundable 100,000 naira. That you can earn as much as 500,000 at state level, at regional level. I'll take a photo of it and bring it here and show it on camera. So you see the banner is there conspicuously in front of Eagle Square, in front of the Federal Secretariat, with phone numbers. That is job racketeering. So if people fall victim of such, what is vote buying? What is vote selling? If there is no buyer, the seller will have nothing to sell.
Exactly.
A business that has no patronage we die. So if the buyers are tackled, so I play less on the sellers in this game. I want to focus on the buyers, because the buyers knows that which are the political parties. They know that inducement is easy to carry out because of the hungry people, and that's how they have weaponized poverty in our land to make Nigerians vulnerable to want to do anything for money, for peanut, for pittance, for anything, for any kind of offer you just have to make, even if it's just a pack of salt, even if it's just a face cap. People will queue up and collect it. There was an election, people had to vote and show their voters and show their ballot paper to a party agent before they cast the vote, and the party agent will say, yes, you have done it, go to that room and get your cash. And INEC is there. They see it, but they look the other way. The security agencies are there. They see it, they look the other way. That is the issue. That is the point we are trying to make.
Absolutely. And that so much is something we should tackle before the general election. That's something we have to put our pin on. Political parties buying votes and, sponsoring vote buying in Nigeria. Let's take a look at this story on The Guardian. HED, that's Human and Environmental Development Agenda, urges Tinubu to pause 15% fuel import tariff amid hardship. This particular story, a lot of people are saying, the 15% is to discourage importation of fuel and all that, while some people are on the other side saying that we don't even have enough, crude, or rather, we don't even have enough refineries to refine our own product. So, putting the percentage on the fuel actually increases the hardship and the fuel cost in Nigeria. I don't know what you think about that.
Yes, I think I will combine that story with the story I read earlier. We talked about sky high fare in Nigeria blamed on expanding web of FG levels. If you follow up that story on Daily Independence today, you discover that this sky high fare they talked about, we're talking about the Jet A1, the skyrocketed fare air flight from one part of the country to the other, like Lagos. And when I read through part of that story, I discovered that there was an 11 point something percent dollar that is being imposed by the NCAA that is also influencing, because the only thing that comes to people's mind when they talk about skyrocketed aviation is the aviation fuel. But this has been traced to 11% that is being meant to collect by the NCAA from these airline operators. That is also influencing the cost of fare. Ticket from here to Lagos now is about 240,000 naira for one-way ticket. So that means if you have to travel to and fro between here and from December 1, that is being implemented, and that is one of the problems. So I don't think the best way to discourage importation, you can ban importation outrightly and enforce it at entry point. It is not by, what if they decide to pay this levy and impose it on the buyers? And of course, the local refineries cannot meet the demand of, as we speak, the volume of ton output from the local refineries can still not meet the demands of Nigerians. Exactly. And some still have to export this product through the back door to neighboring countries like Niger and the rest of them. So I don't think the best way is to impose levies here and there, because we've seen what it has done to the airline now, and we are seeing what it's doing to the petrol. But I happily saw yesterday that Dangote slashed it from about 900 and something to 800 and something. That's at yesterday, and the NNPC has also adjusted. So this is a welcome development. But even at that, I think the federal government at the center should also look at the tariffs, levies here and there imposed on some of these sectors and effect of it on the masses. And another story that we forgot to talk about was the warning from the UK to its citizens. This is not also good at this time where we are talking about whether we are country of concern or not. We are battling with the Donald Trump and the US concern. Now the UK is warning its citizens from traveling to about 16 or 15 states you just mentioned now. So now No, this is part of the whole issues that we as a nation should be concerned about.
Let's take this other story from New Telegraph. Soludo re-elected Anambra governor with 422,664 votes. INEC declares Tinubu Lord Soludo's re-election, pledges FG support, and those are the writers and other writers there. And you talked about NNPCL and others reduce fuel pump price. I'll take this other story. FG condemns sabotage on Abuja Kaduna Kanu Road. That's so much. And still on Trump threat. NSCIA folds targeted killings claim, say its agenda is to destabilize Nigeria. Nigeria record 81% drop in terror-related death since 2015. Don't joke with Trump's threat, security expert tells Tinubu, says corruption, nepotism hindering Nigeria's counter-terrorism efforts. Those are the stories that I would pick. Maybe the last story here is I don't think ADC has answers to Nigeria's challenges, and that's coming from Shetima as SDP leadership crisis deepens. Let me talk about this. When it comes to ADC, a lot of people have said it that these are the same people. It's just like removing the name and changing the name. These are the same people. So if they could not answer Nigeria's questions or challenges before, what makes them different from the current administration? What makes them different? What makes them stand out? What solution are they bringing? What strategy do they have to answer the questions ongoing in Nigeria, to solve many challenges Nigeria has currently? And I don't know what strategy they have put out there other than to unseat the current president.
Yeah, I think but for the fact that we don't have any alternative does not mean that opposition should not exist. It is good for democracy. It is good for us to continue to have opposing voices with alternative solution to our problems. ADC has not presented their presidential candidate yet. And that is the point I'll start talking about ADC and APC. The alternative. And the alternative, not just the alternative person, the alternative solution. The manifestos, the campaign promises, the agenda they want to put forward. That is more of concern to me at the point of campaign. So until we get to that bridge where they will present their candidate that will be the alternative to the present arrangement we have, I would still save my strength and reserve my comment. But talking about the numbers of votes that was used in declaring the winner of Anambra governor, 422,664 votes. Yes, I spoke about that in our last review, that I'm waiting to see the total number of votes casted. If this is the vote of the winner, 422,664, then that means the runner, the next second person, would have gotten less than this. So slight downward. It means if you aggregate all the votes of the vote casted from about 2-point-something million voters, this is how many percentage of 2-point-something million voters in Anambra. It means far less than 50% of the not registered voters elected the present governor. This is the fundamental problem I think we should be looking at as a nation. Where we have voter apathy, the few people that are able to be bought over are the ones that came to cast their vote. And that is why we are having less than 500,000 votes to elect the winner out of 2-point-something million registered voters, eligible voters in Anambra State.
Absolutely. You've actually pointed that out well. Nigeria, when we talk about bad governance, we talk about elections not going well. We forget voter apathy, we forget vote buying, we don't look at all this. We just look at, what's the result? Who won?
It's not just about the result.
It's not just about the result. And the funny part is this. The sponsors of all this, they know the game. They know how to discourage the people from voting, and they know how to win the people from to get their vote, to vote for them. And at the end, we're seeing less than half being accounted for as
Total number of
the
voters.
total number. Then the other half did not now elect a governor or
At
a
all.
president. So how are we declaring this, the winner when half of the number did not vote?
It is determined by the total number of votes casted.
That's just it. It's determined by the number of votes casted, and we have to. I don't know how the National Orientation Agency is going to do against the next election to really raise the morale of people to vote, go out there and vote. A lot of people will go as far as getting their PVC going,
But they'll tell you their
orientation.
vote won't count.
the
So
end of
you
the
have
day,
to
they don't
build
vote.
confidence and trust. The INEC has to do their job to the point that people will begin to
Regain their trust.
regain their trust in the electoral umpire, that if they cast their vote will count. A lot of Nigerians don't come out to vote because they believe that even if they come out to vote, the results are just written. So because of that, on election day, people would rather stay at home and watch TV or go to the empty street and play football instead of going to the polling unit to cast their vote. And that is why we're having the kind of results we are having in Anambra today. I've been waiting for this figure, that what was the total number of votes used in declaring Soludo as the winner of that election. 422,664. So that compared to the number of registered eligible voters in Anambra, that was about 2-point-something million. It's
That's
appalling.
not even half of the population.
Yes, and if you plus the second person, the runner-up, and the rest of them in that order, somebody got 200 and something vote and invited them for a lunch. A lady that got 200 and something vote invited the people that voted for her to come for a lunch in her house after the winner was announced. Because she just wanted to console those people that summoned the courage, the numbers of people, even if they were just less than 300 people. He told them to come for a lunch. He wanted to see them. He wanted to know those people. She wanted to be sure that these are the people, even if it is just 200 and something of you. I appreciate you. I didn't buy it. You people voted for me, but now let me show you love. And she invited them for a lunch. And I commended her for doing that. And, so I think this is something for us to ponder on, that how come we have less than half of the total eligible voters in a state coming out to cast their ballot on an election day, and less than half of that half is used in declaring the winner of the election. 422,000 over 2 million, that is the people that elected for the majority. Can I go to the next paper? Yeah, the next paper I have with me, which is the last but not the least today, talking about Daily Trust. Daily Trust newspaper is still talking about the genocide claim. That's the boldest headline in front of Daily Trust today, saying that FG silent on Amukbiton's legal brief. I will come to that. There is a brief that was allegedly published by Amukbiton that claimed that Boko Haram insurgency in 2022 or so, he published that he was targeted at eliminating a certain religions and all of that publication that was attributed to Amukbiton, which is the genocide claim that is being talked about by Daily Trust today. That FG is silent on it, and Amukbiton is also yet to, react to that, claim. It is the fact that there was a brief that was really a legal brief that he wrote, that corroborate what the United States is talking about today. And coincidentally, he was appointed the INEC chairman just about the same time, and this is reoccurring, and this is a message he was sending to awaken the then government, to put them on their toes, to tackle how they can tackle the Boko Haram insurgency. And now he is the chairman of INEC, and they are reminding him, and he's not saying anything, and the federal government is also silent about it. So that's something I want you to react to if you can. Then the next story there talked about Anambra gubernatorial ADC candidate, LP candidate, reject results as Soludo re-elected. We've talked about that in other papers, of course. LP and ADC is still kicking, alleging massive vote buying by the ruling party in the state. And Trump's threat, stock market loss hits 2.8 trillion. You might think Trump's threat has not done anything to our economy, but as we speak, the stock market has lost 2.8 trillion attributed to Trump threats, because this slide in the stock market took place between when Trump made his comments about Nigeria being a country of concern and genocide and all of that. A lot of portfolio investors, started pulling out from the Nigeria stock market, and that led to, the slide in stocks, and now it estimated at 2.8 trillion loss so far in the Nigeria Stock Exchange. Protest in Kogi community over bandit attack. That is another cause for concern. From Daily Trust today, that's much I can take from Daily Trust today. Which of these stories catches your attention? Maybe we should start from the last story that talked about protest in Kogi over bandit attack.
This particular protest, I don't know why. The other time there was a fresh protest, I think it was in Benue, and then women had to come out to protest. It's very wrong for people to protest for their own safety. It doesn't speak well about a particular country or a particular administration. When people are coming out to protest for their own safety, they can as well just defend themselves rather than protest for their own safety. And looking at simultaneously a fresh attack in Kogi, a fresh attack in southern Kaduna, the other time was Kwara, and we're seeing attacks here and attack there. This is not helping Nigeria in any way debunk the claim of Nigeria being a country of particular concern, and not even putting us on a good list, on a good reputation on the global stage. And coming to the other story where what other stories there?
Yeah, the stock market on Trump threats has made it slide with 2.8 trillion.
Putting that side by side of our stock market, going down. This particular expert, a security expert here, telling the president, don't joke with Trump's threat. We might just think, oh, it's a threat.
It's not something to wish away.
Exactly. We can just debunk it and it's all gone. It's something we can, just dialogue and it's all gone. This is a helping hand. I would say it's an intervention rather than invasion. Yeah. Nigeria should see it as an intervention. And the moment we take this hand, I think it will do Nigeria so much good, especially helping our security architecture first and then helping our economic, because when the United States has already made this claim, we're looking at foreign investors taking away, going backwards from investing in Nigeria. We might say, oh, we have other countries who are willing to invest in Nigeria. Let's take, for instance, China. We have other countries. But looking at us on the stock exchange market, are we really doing well? Those are the things that Nigeria should. And I would also, say the same statement with this security expert here, saying that President Bola Tinubu should not really joke with U.S. President Trump threat. Be it a threat or a treaty, they should really look into it.
Absolutely. I quite agree with that, because that is what we've continuously emphasized on this review segment, that it is not just wishing away what the foreign communities are perception about you. It's about looking at the message. It's not just looking at the message, looking at the offer. They've offered to help you fight insurgency, to help you fight banditry. So why not, open up that space, take advantage of it. Then, make it a diplomatic affairs, then make it use it as an opportunity for you to strengthen your ties with the United States. Forget what China has to say, forget what Russia has to say. Like one say, certain religious leader told Tinubu over the weekend that, look, Russia and China cannot help you if America decide, to unleash airspace with bombardment. Please take serious. I give you 100 days. Make a promise to Trump. Promise him that in 100 days you will tackle this insurgency. With name withheld. There's a popular pastor that was saying that to Tinubu over the weekend. And I think he must have heard that advice, and he should be thinking about doing that. Make a promise, make a deadline, just like what Serap said to INEC, I give you 7 days to report the vote buying sponsors to the police, EFCC, and the ICPC. Just tell Trump that, okay, look, give me 100 days. I will fish out the sponsors and the security report I've had over the years about both when I was outside the government and when I came in. I'll put them together. I'll look at the sponsors of this. We've had security chiefs, like I said in one of our review, coming out to say that this banditry, it has political undertone, it has economic undertone. Part of the areas occupied by these bandits in the forest, they are sitting on solid minerals, are sitting on mining, illegal mining going on. And Chinese have been fingered as one of the countries that is encouraging illegal mining in Nigeria. And it's one country that has never come out to speak up, to say, to condemn terrorism in Nigeria, or to even offer to help the Nigerian government in tackling the fight, in supporting and fighting, joining their hands with the Nigerian government in the fight against terrorism. China has never said that. I've never seen any story that where China promised to help the Nigerian government to tackle insurgency. But instead, wherever illegal mining is going on, wherever coal is being blasted, wherever solid mineral is being illegally mined, you see China at the forefront in those places with the Nigerian security agencies giving them protection, and these insurgencies in part of the country, especially in Zamfara, Katsina, Borno, Niger, and the rest of them, and parts of Kwara, investigation have also shown that most of these sites where these insurgents have built their camps are sites with solid minerals, and these solid minerals is not being transformed to finished product in Nigeria. It's being taken and stolen by some of these foreigners. And majority of the foreigners that we have seen collaborating with local miners to steal these things from Nigerians are the Chinese. And the Chinese has not offered Nigeria any help in that regard. So now that the United States have made a promise that they can assist the Nigerian government in fighting insurgency, in smoking out terrorists, the Chinese is coming to say, oh no, we'll be in support of Nigeria. No, the government of the day should open up their ears very well, should pay attention and look at where the interest of Chinese really lies in this fight against terrorism.
I think you pointed that out well. I like your end statement where you say fight against terrorism, not fight against Christian genocide or no Christian genocide in Nigeria.
At all.
We should focus this about insecurity, rather than a religious or ethnic-based threat.
Absolutely.
In Nigeria.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Is there any other story?
That's all I have today.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me on this newspaper review. It was a nice time with you.
It's always a pleasure doing this with you, Juliet.
Okay, to our viewers, join us same time, same station, here only on Third Eye Africa TV. I am Juliet Omra.
And I'm Charles Agedo. Keep watching Third Eye Africa TV. And remember, security is everyone's business. If you see something, say something. Don't forget to always use our iReporter on platform. If you see anything in your area, any suspicious movement, security-related threats, banditry, kidnappings, terrorism, of all sorts. If you can just take a picture, or you can take a video, or you can just do a voice note to us on Third Eye Africa TV. We are always here to protect and support the fight against insecurity in our land. Keep watching Third Eye Africa TV.